1. The future of the space economy. Fact or fiction? 2. Investing in space. The next frontier for business. 1. The future of the space economy. Fact or fiction? Imagine a future where space exploration and commerce are no longer the exclusive domain of governments and billionaires, but a thriving industry that benefits humanity as a whole. This is the promise of the space economy, a concept that has been gaining momentum in recent years. But what does the future hold for this emerging industry, and how will it impact our daily lives? In this episode of Space Minds, host Mike Gruss is joined by Matthew Weinzierl, Professor and Senior Associate Dean for Faculty Development and Research at Harvard Business School, and Brendan Rosseau, Strategy Manager, New Glenn at Blue Origin, to explore the forces shaping the global space economy. Drawing from their new book, Space to Grow, the pair discusses how market dynamics, shifting public sector priorities, and defense investments are driving a new era of space activity. From the growing influence of Space Force and NASA budget constraints to the classroom at Harvard and the C-suite in industry, Weinzierl and Rosseau offer a rare macroeconomic lens on the challenges and opportunities facing space as it moves further into the commercial and geopolitical spotlight. Whether you're a policymaker, investor, operator, or observer, this episode captures the critical questions facing the future of space enterprise. But here's where it gets controversial. What if the pursuit of space activities becomes increasingly controversial and more people believe it's not worth it or against their values? This is a question that Weinzierl and Rosseau tackle head-on, arguing that the benefits of space exploration and commerce will ultimately outweigh the costs and become more apparent to people over time. However, they also acknowledge that there are legitimate concerns about the environmental impact, militarization, and unequal distribution of benefits that need to be addressed. As the space industry continues to evolve, it's essential to consider these complex issues and ensure that the benefits of space exploration and commerce are shared by all. So, what do you think? Will the space economy become a thriving industry that benefits humanity, or will it be plagued by controversy and criticism? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And this is the part most people miss. The space economy is not just about rockets and satellites. It's about creating a new frontier for human innovation and progress. As Weinzierl and Rosseau point out, the introduction of market forces into the space sector has changed the game, introducing a whole new level of uncertainty and opportunity. But what does this mean for the average person? How will the space economy impact our daily lives, and what opportunities and challenges will it bring? These are the questions that Weinzierl and Rosseau aim to answer in their book, Space to Grow, which provides a framework for understanding the broader picture of the space industry and its potential impact on society. So, if you're interested in learning more about the space economy and its potential to shape our future, tune in to this episode of Space Minds and join the conversation. 2. Investing in space. The next frontier for business. The space investment boom is no longer a distant dream. It's rapidly becoming a thriving reality that's capturing the attention of investors worldwide. But here's where it gets controversial. While some of the industry's biggest names like Elon Musk SpaceX and Jeff Bezos Blue Origin have resisted stepping into the public markets, a host of other space-focused companies are taking the plunge, sparking waves of excitement and debate. Imagine a futuristic financial control room straight out of a sci-fi movie, holographic dashboards glowing with dynamic charts and streaming data, showcasing the pulse of stock markets with intricate line and bar graphs, all feeding into critical decisions on space-related investments. This is the unfolding scene in the space sector, an industry where innovation meets high finance in real time. Every quarter, the broader market holds its breath during earnings season, a time when CEOs announce their company's results and investors hang on every decimal point. The space sector's earnings timetable runs a bit quieter, largely because giants like SpaceX and Blue Origin have remained privately held, avoiding the scrutiny that public markets demand. Yet, several publicly traded heavyweights deeply involved in aerospace and space activities are turning heads. Companies such as Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and Virgin Galactic continue to draw investor interest due to their space ventures. Fresh on the public scene is Voyager Technologies, which debuted just last month and saw its stock surge over 80% on opening day after expanding its initial public offering. Another exciting new entrant, Firefly Aerospace, recently filed to go public with plans to trade under the Nasdaq ticker FLY. This newcomer made waves earlier this year with the successful lunar landing of its Blue Ghost lander, an achievement that significantly boosted investor enthusiasm. Startups in the space sector have enjoyed strong inflows of investment during the second quarter of the year, buoyed by sustained enthusiasm for space-related defense projects and a lift in market confidence following a temporary pause in U.S. reciprocal tariffs. According to a detailed report by Seraphim Space, defense remains a major driver in space investment due to its reliance on space technologies for intelligence gathering, imaging, communication, and navigation. The strategic importance of space has only heightened this year with initiatives like the U.S.'s Golden Dome missile defense system, Europe's ReArm program, and NATO allies committing to increase defense spending to 5% of GDP by 2035. In numbers, the total investment pumped into space startups from April through June hit a striking $3.1 billion, marking the second highest quarterly inflow ever recorded by Seraphim Space and a significant rise from $2.1 billion in the previous quarter. Unsurprisingly, U.S. space companies attracted approximately 70% of this funding, $2.2 billion, meaning that investment in American space ventures for the year has already outpaced the entirety of 2024's total. This impressive growth happened despite federal government contract cuts, NASA budget reductions, and market volatility spurred by the previous U.S. administration's protectionist trade policies. Outside the U.S., only 2 deals cracked the top 10 funding rounds. German launch service provider ESAR Aerospace raised $174 million in a Series C round, while China's Qianxuan Spatial Intelligence secured $137 million in Series B funding. Leading the pack was U.S. startup Impulse Space, which amassed an impressive $300 million in a Series C raise, the largest deal in Q2. Venture capitalists have dominated recent investment activity, accounting for 77% of the total space funding so far in 2025, a notable jump from the average 54% they represented in 2024, according to Space Capital's insightful second quarter Space IQ report. This report highlights particularly strong momentum in funding for innovative areas like crewed space habitats, on-orbit servicing, as well as advanced energy generation and storage technologies. With 18 acquisitions finalized in Q2 alone, Space Capital anticipates upwards of 10 high-value deals will conclude by the end of 2025, potentially totaling around $35 billion in transaction volume. Interestingly, investment in space isn't one-sided. Space companies themselves are actively investing in other cutting-edge ventures. A prime example making headlines is the report that SpaceX plans to invest a staggering $2 billion into xAI, the developer of the controversial AI chatbot Grok, which reportedly powers customer support features for SpaceX's Starlink satellite network. This investment forms part of a larger, previously announced $10 billion debt and equity fundraising campaign led by Morgan Stanley. In the news spotlight, President Donald Trump has appointed Sean Duffy, the U.S. Transportation Secretary, as the interim head of NASA after withdrawing the nomination of tech billionaire Jared Isaacman earlier in the year. French President Emmanuel Macron urged the United Kingdom to ramp up its investments in space ventures, emphasizing that the UK cannot afford to remain a bystander in the evolving European space agenda. The European Space Agency secured a deal to retain access to launch facilities at the Guiana Space Center until 2035, ensuring continued European launch capabilities. China's Chang'e 6 lunar mission has returned with the first physical samples from the moon's far side, unveiling new insights into lunar geology, volcanic activity, and magnetic properties. Astronomers detected the largest black hole merger ever observed, 2 colossal black holes spiraling towards each other and merging far beyond the edges of our Milky Way. Industry developments also paint a vibrant picture. Israel launched its Dror 1 communications satellite via a SpaceX Falcon 9, successfully transmitting initial signals back to ground stations. China's private company Landspace plans to debut its reusable methane-powered Zhuke 3 rocket later this year, aiming to secure satellite launch contracts within the domestic market. Taiwan's T-Space unfortunately experienced a launch failure after liftoff, halting its attempt to become the first foreign launch operation from Japanese soil. In market movement updates, SpaceX is reportedly considering raising capital through share sales that could value the company at an unprecedented $400 billion, potentially setting a new record for privately held U.S. companies. Space-focused startup Varda closed a $187 million Series C round to advance the manufacturing of pharmaceuticals in orbit, aiming to develop more complex molecules and accelerate turnaround times in drug production. Firefly Aerospace officially filed for an initial public offering on the Nasdaq under the ticker FLY, signaling growing investor appetite for space IPOs. Looking ahead, several important launches are scheduled. On July 20th, SpaceX's Falcon 9 will carry Starlink satellites into orbit from California. July 21st will see another Falcon 9 launch of the O-3B Empower 9-10 mission from Florida. Then, on July 22nd, SpaceX is set to launch NASA's Tracers mission from California. So, with investment soaring and technological breakthroughs accelerating, the space sector is becoming an unstoppable force. But here's the question for you. Do you believe that this surge in space investment will lead to sustainable industry growth, or is it another speculative bubble fueled by hype?